My name is Grace Mullen and I am the fourth generation on my family's grain farm here in Essex County. In 2018, I started my own farming operation called Graceland Farms. In 2019, I bought my first farm, and in 2020, my second farm. We grow corn, wheat, and soybeans, and that has been something that the previous generation has done. So we're carrying on that tradition and that legacy today. It's myself, my parents, and we have a couple part-time employees as well. We plant our crops in the spring and we harvest them in the fall. So we plant our wheat typically in the fall, right around harvest time, and then it's a winter wheat, so it will grow throughout the winter, and then we harvest it in July. So for crop rotation, it's important that we rotate between corn, wheat, and soybeans, as those various crops take different products from the ground, and therefore we have to rotate it so that some will add those products back into the ground naturally without taking too much away from the natural composition of the soil. We use a row planter, a combine, a self-propelled sprayer, and many other tillage equipment and tractors. The biggest lesson that I've learned as a farmer is growing up in a rural area, it's very common that everybody around kind of knows where your food comes from. They understand farming, they understand equipment on the road, you have to be patient. And it wasn't until I went to university in a more urban center where I discovered that not everybody understands where their food comes from. So I think as a farmer and as somebody who does all the groundwork, it's very important that we as agricultural producers explain where the food comes from and debunks any of those misconceptions that there might be about agriculture and farming today. So for us on the family farm, we can't produce more land. We have the land that we have and we need to protect it. So one thing in particular that my family does is we actually add microbes to the soil. So microbes are little small organisms and they are already in the soil. We're just replenishing it and adding more to be able to break it down and for that the plant to be able to have even more access to it, to grow and to also protect the soil, which is the foundation of the crops itself. My favorite part about being a farmer, especially on my family farm, is being the next generation able to take over the farming operation. Fortunately, growing up, it was always part of my plan. I always had a goal to grow the family farm. So in 2018, when I started my own operation, that definitely accelerated that plan, and I'm very fortunate to be a farmer, and I love being able to have a part in feeding the world. So we grow IP soybeans, which is actually identity preserved soybeans, and they go for food grade products. Our wheat will go for bread, and then our corn is a commercial corn, so it will go for ethanol and other commercial products. I would say most people don't really understand that farming is definitely a lifestyle. It's a way of life. Most farmers don't just farm because it's a hobby or something they enjoy doing. They really do it because they're very passionate about agriculture. They're very passionate about their job, and by lifestyle, everything is kind of planned around farming time. So spring and fall, busiest times. Often there's sacrifices that need to be made. For instance, you can't go out and go out to dinner when you're right in the middle of harvest, or go to different events and hang out with friends, and it's something that not everybody understands. But when you have generations that have built up the operation, it's something that you want to carry forward. And with that comes sacrifices, and not everyone's intended to be a farmer, but those that are very passionate about what they do. They love growing for the world, and they love their day-to-day, and even though Mother Nature can be sometimes difficult to cooperate with, it's something that you wouldn't change for the world, and it's a really great job to have. I would say the biggest thing everybody should know about farming is that 98% of farm corporations are actually owned by families. So even though it is a corporation that owns it, there is still a face behind how your food gets to your table. And I think it's important that individuals understand and know who that person is that gets their food to their table or to the grocery store, the shelves in their grocery store. So farmers wear many different hats. They play many different roles. For instance, a farmer could be their own mechanic, their own agronomist, their own scientist, their own accountant or bookkeeper. And for that, they kind of learn at a very young age how to do and play many of those roles because they have to. They have no other choice. You can't always go to a equipment dealership. Sometimes they're closed, sometimes they're unavailable to come out. So doing as much as you possibly can yourself, and in the time frame that you need to do it, definitely benefits the overall operation, and it's a better understanding, especially when it comes to the bookkeeping and the accounting side of it, to understand just where your farming operation lies, what your bottom line is, and how you can grow it for the future.